guys, it's Cindy here from Hooked on Crafts, and today we're going to be learning how to do the waffle stitch, and we're going to be making an easy dishcloth. So for today's project, you're going to need some cotton yarn, an H-size hook, a yarning needle, and a pair of scissors. And to begin this project, we are going to make a slip stitch, and then you are going to chain 33. Now you can do this stitch in any multiples of 3. So if my dishcloth ended up being 9 inches by 9 inches, if you would like a bigger dishcloth, you could increase, say, by 3 or 6. If you would like a smaller one, then you would just subtract by 3, any multiple of 3. So to do a chain stitch, you're just going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And I don't know if you guys know or not, but if I'm going too fast and you're just a beginner, you can slow me down if you hit those 3 little buttons up in the top right hand corner and click on playback speed. You can slow me down or speed me up if I'm going too fast or too slow for you. So once you get the chain 33, you then are going to double chain in the 5th stitch from the hook. So to double chain, you're going to yarn over, go into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. And you are just going to repeat this all the way down till you get to the very end of your chain. So again, you would yarn over, go into your stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and 2 more. And I'm going to speed us up here a little bit so that you don't have to watch me do every last double chain in this row. And then once we get to the end, it's important to know that you are going to go into, if you haven't crocheted before, you're going to go into the last stitch right before your slip knot. Not into the slip knot, but in the one right next to it. So you'll see me do a couple more here. And right there is that last stitch. And sometimes it's a little tight, so you just got to work your needle in there. Then for row 2, we are going to chain 3 and turn our work. And then for row 2, you do the chain 3 and then you do a front post double chain. So to do that, you're going to yarn over, go through this front post just like so, yarn over again, go back under, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then the next stitch is going to be a double chain into the next stitch. So again, just a double chain. And what I like about this pattern is it's a repeating pattern. So for this row, it's going to be front post double chain, front post double chain all the way across. Once you get those first few stitches out of the way. And if you remember, I like to crochet while I'm watching TV, so I like repeating patterns so that I don't have to worry about counting stitches or pay too much attention. Here I am showing you again how to go in for that front post double crochet. It's really very simple. Once you get started, it looks much harder than what it is. Especially when you're doing double crochets, because they're pretty big posts. So we are just going to keep repeating that same pattern all the way through to the end of our row. And the pattern is the part of the parentheses that says front post double crochet, front post double crochet, double crochet. And you're just going to keep doing that all the way till you get to the very end of this row. Now, I would like to take a minute and apologize that my mat is crooked, and I know that's probably going to drive some of you guys crazy. It drives me a little bit crazy sitting here editing the video, and I do apologize for that. I didn't realize it till I did sit down to edit the video, so please forgive me for that. So you're just going to see me, and I'm trying to go slow here in the first couple rows so that you can see each and every stitch. And then once we get through the first few rows, they just repeat, and I'll speed it up a lot then so that this video does not take forever, because nobody wants to sit through something that takes that long. So it's a front post double crochet, a front post double crochet, and then double crochet into the stitch. And I'm just going to keep working that all the way down. And this truly is about the speed that I normally crochet in. I like to do repeating patterns. It's just who I am. It's just the type of crocheting that I like to do. So this pattern was right up my alley. Now as we're getting to the end of the row here, you will see me front post double crochet. This is a double crochet here. Then I will do 2 front post double crochet. You can see we're right to the last of the row. And front post double crochet, and then I will double crochet right into the top of that chain 3 stitch there. And that is row number 2. And then we're going to move on to row number 3. For row number 3, we are going to chain 3 and turn our work, and then we will double crochet into the first stitch, double crochet into the next stitch. And you see me, I'm kind of looking at it here to make sure that I've got my stitches correct. And so you want to do that front post double crochet into the 3rd stitch. So I'm just trying to figure out exactly where I want to be there. So double crochet and a double crochet, and then you're going to front post double crochet, and you can kind of see on this side much easier than the other side where that front post double crochet needs to be, because it's the one that's kind of bumped out a little bit. So again, 2 double crochets and a front post. So front post double crochet, and then double crochet, and then another double crochet. And we're just going to keep repeating that pattern all the way through. For this video, guys, I have tried to insert the written instructions down at the bottom of the frame. One of the hardest things for me when I was learning to crochet was actually reading the directions and figuring out what they were trying to tell me to do. So I've added that down at the bottom so you can kind of get used to seeing that. Now the repeating part is the part that's going to be inside of the parentheses, so just know that throughout this pattern. And we are just going to keep on repeating that same pattern for row number 3, which is front post double crochet, double crochet, double crochet. And again, you can kind of start to see the pattern shaping up here. If I didn't have a variegated yarn, it would probably been easier to see the pattern a little bit. At the very end and at the beginning, I have the solid one that I made, and I think it shows up a little bit better on that. But this was the only cotton yarn I had for today, so I just decided to go with it. It's a bright sunshiny yellow, and it's spring out, so why not, right? It's only a dishcloth. That's why I like trying new stitch patterns on dishcloths, because if I mess it up, it doesn't really matter. It's a dishcloth. I'm just going to be wiping down the counters and washing dishes with it. So if it's a little messed up, who cares? That just helps me perfect that stitch for a bigger project, such as a scarf or a baby blanket. And I do have a baby blanket that I need to make, and I'm really considering doing this pattern stitch for it. I think it would make a great baby blanket, really, if I could find the right yarn for it. So here I am, I'm almost to the end. And you'll see me do the double crochet right there in the top of that stitch. Okay, now for row number 4, you are just going to repeat row number 2. So you're going to chain 3, turn your work. Here I'm just showing you where you can kind of see the pattern shaping up, and you can see the little waffle squares kind of in there. And I think it's looking pretty good. So we're just going to repeat row 2. So you're going to chain 3, turn your work, front post double crochet, And then you will start your pattern again, which is front post double crochet, front post double crochet, and double crochet all the way to the very end. And again, this side is much harder, I think, to see the stitches on. So if you get lost and you're not sure if you're in the right stitch or not, kind of peek around to the other side and you then will be able to see exactly where those stitches are supposed to be. And pretty soon here I'm going to speed it up really fast for you, and we'll just kind of go to the end, because you're just going to repeat rows 2 and row 3 from here on out. So here's my front post double crochet, and then I'm crocheting, double crocheting. So you're just going to keep doing that pattern over and over. Front post double crochet, and here I am speeding it up because I didn't want to bore you guys to death. So you're just going to keep repeating that pattern over and over, and you can see I'm kind of checking my work as I go. And then when you get to the very end, and I would try to end on, you see at the very top where you have kind of the ridge there, I think that's a good place to stop. So just try to do that. Now what I like to do to finish off my dishcloth is I like to single chain all the way around the edges. Now I'm starting on the side, so it's a little bit harder on the side. I usually just try to make my stitches even here. There's no science. I mean, some people do count their single chains going down the side. For a dishcloth, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. I'm just trying to keep it even and finish off the edge so that it looks nice. And sometimes if you can't get your hook into the chain, just go around the chain. I think that's perfectly okay too. You'll see me, I'm struggling a little bit here on the sides, but I think that's typical of anybody when they're crocheting down the side. But I think having that single chain around it just makes it look a lot nicer. If you didn't want to use this for a dish rag, you could kind of use it for a trivet. I think it would be nice to sit on your counter if you had to place a hot pan or a hot dish on the table. It would save your table. And now as I get to the corner, for these corners I only did 2 stitches in the corner. Most of the time I try to do 3, but for some reason this one looked weird when I did 3, so I only did 2. And again, it's my dishcloth. I'm the boss of it, right? So I'll do whatever I think looks the best there. Now as you get to the top and the bottom, it's going to be much easier to find which stitch to go into. And you can see here, I am just going to crochet around that little tail. That way I don't have to weave it in at the end. So you see me kind of tuck it back there so that I get it encased into these stitches. And you're just going to go all the way around, just doing a single crochet. And then you're just going to keep going all the way around all 4 sides. And I am going to speed up to the end here. And once you get to the very end, you're going to slip stitch right into your first chain 1 corner. Kind of pull it tight. You're going to trim your tail off. And then I always just stick my tail through the slip stitch there and pull it tight. And then another thing that I always had trouble with when I was learning to crochet is no one ever showed you how to weave in the ends. So I was always kind of lost there. So what I like to do is go ahead and thread your yarn needle and go under those stitches and then go back and forth a few times in different ways and make sure you're catching a few of the different loops in there. And then once you get those all tucked in nice and tight, you will be good to go. And I do it usually 3 times, and then just trim it off as close as you can. Here's what my finished project looked like. I hope you guys enjoyed learning how to do the waffle stitch today. This is the variegated one, and then here I'm going to bring in the solid one that I did, and I did make it a little bit bigger, and it was kind of too big, so for our project we did a little bit smaller. Happy crafting, guys!